Hello and welcome to the Daily Millwall for Thursday the 27th of January 2022. In today's Millwall news we have this training session at the Den. Pictures put up on the millwallfc.co.uk club's official website. And who's that there next to, that's Benicophobe, but who's that next to him? Is that a player we're signing? No, that's one of the coaches there taking part. I hope it didn't injure any. Maybe that's why we keep getting injured players. He's going around kicking them up in the air. I don't know. I'm joking. That's Joe Carnell, I believe. So let's have a look and see who we can see and who might be missing. So we got Benicophobe there, of course. Oh, Alex Pearce. Alex Pearce is back training. I assume he'll take his usual position on the bench. Okay. There's Burke and Keftenbeld. Okay. Hutch and Bennett. Danny McNamara there. Malone, Murray Wallace, Tyler Burry. Okay, cool. That is Shaun O'Brien. And I believe that's Nana Boateng there as well. And George Evans. So there you go. 3 midfielders there. Shaun O'Brien back from injury and playing with, training with the first team. So that's good to see. There's Malone now. Long. Shaun O'Brien again. Was that Jake Cooper in the background? We haven't seen him yet. Does kind of look like Jake Cooper. I'm not too sure. And there's Gary Rowett. Hayden Muller, Billy Mitchell, Tyler Burry, Mason Bennett. Okay, so what I'm getting from this is I'm not seeing George Saville, I'm not seeing Jed Wallace, I'm not seeing Zach Lovelace. Is he on a tour of the country speaking to clubs, trying to get a new contract elsewhere? I don't know. Or is he injured? I don't know. We shall see. There you go. Mahoney there. After his involvement in the under 23s yesterday. Didn't see any Ben Thompson yet, no. So there you go. No Ben Thompson. Is Ben Thompson? No, we got the transfer deadline coming up. The closure of the window. Is he possibly on his way? I don't know. He's not. He hasn't appeared in any of these photos yet. On that's the last of the photos. There you go. We're gonna see how we go, isn't it? So no Ben Thompson there, no George Saville, no Jed Wallace. Shaun O'Brien taking part. We'll see what kind of crazy team Gary Rowett puts out against West Brom. And we've got a few stories about that upcoming game. We got this from Hutch. So let's have a reader. This is from news@den.co.uk. Millwall captain on criticism of Lions fans after poor run ahead of West Bromwich Albion clash. Millwall skipper Shaun Hutchinson completely understands the frustrations of Lion fans and promised they are doing everything we can to turn the current form around. Millwall have lost their last 3 league games heading into Saturday's clash against West Bromwich Albion at the Den. They have won only 2 of their last 10 championship matches, which has seen them go from level on points with 6 to 11 points off the playoffs. Almost 1,000 Lions supporters made the trip to Blackpool last weekend, but their side left with nothing after a 1-0 defeat. Hutchinson insisted the current run hurts the players just as much as the Millwall faithful, and he is not oblivious to the criticism. Obviously, you can't hide away from it completely, but at the same time, we're players for the club, we want to win, Hutchinson said. Nobody wants us to win more than us. If you think they hate us losing, try being me when I lose. It's not nice, and I certainly, if I'm feeling frustrated about the performance, then I'm sure they're going to feel frustrated too. I know exactly how they feel. When you're so passionate about something and it doesn't go your way, it's natural to feel that frustration and anger, but no one can fix it other than ourselves. We get the frustration, we're trying everything we can. You can sense the frustration in the fans. They expect more from us, we expect more from ourselves. The gaffer expects more from us. We're doing everything we can to try and fix it, and I suppose we just need to be trusted that we're going to find the answer ourselves and work it out, really. While the Lions are in a difficult run, they have again shown their ability this season to come back from adversity to win games. We're now not favourites too. After their 2-0 home defeat to Luton, they beat Stoke and Sheffield United in the next 2 matches. Hutchinson knows it's often against the big sides that Mill will surprise people. I've always said that we'll be better off in the league if we could play the top 6 every week rather than the bottom 6, Hutchinson added. But we need to turn up because they're obviously a big threat. We're competing in every game, really. It's just these small things are popping up at vital points in the game, and it's losing us the game. We're very competitive. It's not as if we're not competing with teams, but all we can do is look forward to the next game, and it's up to us to put things right. So there you go. He understands. Doesn't that make you feel better, Mill fans? Here we go. Gary Rowett speaking now. Millwall boss hoping underdogs can produce big display against West Bromwich Albion. And this is from londonnewsonline.co.uk, the South London Press's online website. And Gary Rowett reckons Millwall will thrive as underdogs in Saturday's home game against West Bromwich Albion. The Baggies have won just 1 in their last 7 matches and were beaten 2-0 by Preston on Wednesday night. West Brom manager Valerian Ismail was subjected to insulting chants from the club's fans in Saturday's 3-0 victory over Peterborough, all the goals coming in the final 11 minutes. Mill drew 1-1 at the Hawthorns in September, Dan Ballard scoring the equaliser. Ishmael was critical of Peterborough's tactics at the weekend. He said Peterborough didn't shoot once on target. This is now a typical game for us. Opponents just waste time and don't want to play football. I'm so delighted we can punish such a way to play. Millwall are looking to end a run of 3 successive championship losses. Rowett told the South London Press, it's a difficult game, but just like at the Hawthorns, it should be a difficult game for West Brom as well. We made it tough for them in their place. We did 1 or 2 things tactically that we felt hindered them. The manager spoke about teams not coming to play. As the away team, you can do whatever you want. It's about trying to get results away from home, and we did that day. We are aware they are a good side and we've got to do something differently. They've got a really strong forward line that has won them games, as well as the rest of their players. What is good for us is that a top team that allows us to be the underdog going into the game, and that's where we thrive. If I'm being honest, I think we've been better against the better teams, so that should help us. As for any manager being under pressure, I had it as Stoke because the aim for teams like that is to get promotion, simple as that. It's not really for me to comment on what other fans do. It's like our fans. If we're not winning games like we're not at the moment, you expect to get a little bit of stick and come under a little bit of criticism. West Brom are in a good position in the table, a strong second half of the season, and they'll be in the mix. So, both managers are under pressure because they are not the team. They're not getting the results. Could this be the firing derby? Could the result of this game be a sliding doors moment for either manager? I don't think so, because I don't think Millwall would sack Gary Rowett after this game, even if we did lose, which a lot of fans are turning on Gary Rowett now. And another defeat, the worst start to a year since 1948. Would not be appreciated, and if that carries on until the midweek, we've got a home midweek game against Preston on the 1st of February. So we've got 2 home games coming up this week, Saturday and Tuesday. If we lose to West Brom, then that Preston night game will be a cauldron of hatred aimed towards Gary Rowett if we do not try and win that game, and if we lose the game. But on the other side, if we beat West Brom on Saturday, Gary Rowett's job is saved, most likely. But this guy is probably going to get fired, to be honest with you. The fans are turned against him very strongly. He's lost the dressing room. There's some kind of situation going on with Button in goal and Johnston in goal. They're getting shit results because Button's been put in goal, and now Johnston's saying put me back in, or saying, like, I don't know what's happening there, but apparently it's a massive bust up. So we will see. We will see what happens there, because Button is, I believe, quite old goalkeeper, and Johnson is the young hotshot. So something else is going on behind the scenes at West Brom, and if we beat them, it will be another case of Millwall causing the firing of an opposition manager, which you love to see. It does really underline the fact that a lot of teams in the rest of football have little regard for Millwall, and if their manager loses to Millwall, the chairman are quite upset and ready to fire the manager, because they should be beating Millwall, because who the fuck are Millwall? Well, who the fuck are you? Because fuck you. And that's how it goes, and that's how I love it. I love to see it. I love to see it. There's numerous examples over the years when we beat teams, and the day after or on the Monday, the manager's been fired, and I love it every time. And I would love if we could fire this guy as well, Ishmael. I have no idea. I don't know that much about him. I don't really care, but it would be great if we could had him to the roll call of managers who have been fired after losing to Millwall, and it would help us if we could get the 3 points that we need to get to the 50 to stay in this league for next year. Even though I'm pretty sure that depending on the recruitment, next year could be a very, very bad year for Millwall indeed, but we'll wait and see on that. So what's happening with the recruitment? So this is from news@den.co.uk. Got some quotes from Gary Rowett, of course, because they're asking him, because it's deadline day is approaching. We are now 4 days away. Mill focus on attacking recruitment in last days of window, but have eye on longer term. Millwall are mainly focusing on attacking recruitment in the remaining days of the transfer window, but won't pass up on opportunities in other positions. Defenders. More defenders, please. The Lions need to add forward players ahead of Monday's deadline, but also have their eye on the longer term. We're having those conversations and they're quite fluid, Lions boss Garrett has said. We've been close with one or two things this week, but as is usually the case in January, you can get really close and then just fall away. You've then got to move to the next option, which can take a few days to die down. It's never ever simple. There are one or two things that we've put to the club to say we think this should be a long-term option. That might not necessarily be in a position that we're desperate for right now, but it could add competition to the squad to make us better long-term. We have to think like that. I'm well aware as a manager that results have not been ideal, and we have to address that short term, but I always think you have to try and do the right thing for the club in the long term. That's ongoing. Me, Harvey, Steve, John, Berylson and the board will obviously have those discussions. Ultimately, John will decide what he wants to do in this window. But all I can say again is he's always been incredibly open and supportive of us trying to do things as long as they're reasonable and sensible. So there you go. Now we've already obviously made bids for Zion Fleming, which I think that was the first one to break. And then bid for Louis Sibley. So what, I don't know how it usually happens, but in the NFL they have what's called a depth chart, or they have targets when they're doing drafts. So they have targets in different positions, and they go, okay, this is our number one target, number two target, and they go down probably to about fifth to go about 5 different players in each, probably in each position that we've got lined up roughly. I don't know if it's the same like that, but if it is, we're probably down to number 3 option now in terms of attacking players. Like I said before in previous videos, what you've got to consider about Gary Rowett is he's very incestuous. He's only signs players that he's worked with, or signs players that he wanted to sign before. So Afobe, George Evans, Keftenbeld, Ollie Burke. He didn't play with him, sign him before, but he wanted to sign him at every club he was at because he's seen him, because Ollie Burke come through at Forest. which is an East Midlands club, and Rowett's from the Midlands, and he's got a Midlands pride kind of concept. I don't know what's going on with him and only signing players from the Midlands, but that's how it's going. So that's what you got to look at now. Could we be back in for Josh Windass? I don't know, probably not. Liam Delap. We've had a story last week that he's come back from injury and is back in training, and then we've had a story I think yesterday that no quotes but rumours, that kind of thing, not actual quotes, saying Pep's doesn't really want to loan him out. He wants to come blood him into the first team squad. How true that is, I don't know, but maybe we could be going back in for Liam Delap. That might be a thing that might be possible, but again, that will be a loan move for a young player like Ballard that we have no possibility of signing. And also, again, what he said there, again, long-term option. So maybe they're looking for a new centre-back because Ballard's going to be leaving at the end of the season. If they can sign a centre-back as good as Danny Ballard on a 2-year deal, that will replace Danny Ballard at the end of the season when he goes back to wherever he goes back to. Arsenal probably, or he's going to go on loan somewhere else. I don't know, but probably not to us, probably to a Premier League team, because they want to get him to improve. So that might be a situation where if he does sign a defender, it might not be for now. It'll be for next season. But again, this season we do need probably a creative midfielder, creative attacker, someone who can actually do what Jed Wallace does. Is Jed Wallace going? I don't know. Is he staying? He's been injured more or less the whole of January, which is kind of weird and worrying, and has led to all sorts of rumours. But we'll find out on Tuesday, the 1st of February, if he's staying or going, won't we? So, moving on now to this. I think it's probably from the same interview, but this is from londonnewsonline.co.uk. It might be similar. Millwall manager Garrett is expecting the prospect of them doing business in the current transfer window to go right to the deadline. The cut-off for deals is Monday, and the Lions have made one signing this month, stepping up Oliver Burke on loan from Sheffield United. Millwall have Tom Bradshaw and Shea Yojo both out with knee and ankle injuries respectively, and have allowed Matt Smith and Jon Dadibald Varson to make free transfer moves to Salford City and Bolton Wanderers. The Lions are interested in Jordan Ugal, but the Norwich City striker is still on loan with West Bromwich Albion, and the Baggies head to the Den on Saturday. And there was reports out again from Norwich that they won't be recalling him, and that he's just going to have to deal with his situation at West Brom, which is kind of annoying. But then, similar, like I said, there's problems in the dressing room at West Brom behind the scenes. Jordan Ugal's not getting any game time, and he's not happy about that. So that's another thing. The dressing room at West Brom, you got a player here who wants to play, and they're not playing him. So he's saying he's going back to his club, saying recall me and loan me out to someone who will play me. And there are talks of a Hull and Millwall be wanting to do that, but Norwich are not doing that. Probably is that a financial reason? Well, if they recall him, will that cost them money? I don't know. There have been reports in the Midlands that Nottingham Forest's determination to keep hold of Brennan Johnson means that they will not make a fresh push to land Mill's prize attacking asset Jed Wallace, who will be a free agent at the start of July. Rowett said, I'm expecting probably the usual transfer deadline where you want to do stuff early, but a lot of things tend to be out of your hands. When did he say this? Oh, okay. Transfer deadline. Okay, sorry. I thought he meant transfer windows, transfer deadline. So that's on Monday. So he's going to want to do things on Monday morning. We've made bids for players to get young players in permanently and loan bids to try and get a little bit of impact in the short term. So young players, that will obviously be Louis Sibley. And loan bids, who's that for? Is that Jordan Ugal? But they're trying to loan a player who was already on loan. That doesn't make any sense. So that's why I'm thinking maybe it's... they were trying to loan Dion Sanderson from Wolves, so that might be that. we've got quite clearly a few moving parts ourselves. What happens is that things change within a window. At the moment, it looks like we're going to have less outgoings for ourselves, and one or two teams aren't quite as keen to sell their players as maybe they looked to at the start of the window. You always have to react a little bit to what happens. It's not like the summer window where you can have a plan going into it. With players out of contract and other things, it's never easy. Our intention is the same. We want to try and strengthen, ideally for the long term, but the fact Bradders and Shea got injured probably changed some of those elements. We might just have to be patient and see what happens in the last few days. So there you go. Be patient, everyone, and see what happens in the last few days. And not only that, but I've just had a thought. So obviously we've got a game the day after the transfer window closes. If we don't sign anyone, well, how are the fans going to react to that? How are they going to react to that? We'll have to wait and see. So moving on now, I told you a couple of days ago about the planning committee for the massive, ginormous and life-altering changes that will be happening around then. The planning for the renewal scheme, and the meeting was online. And I did watch most of it. It's boring as you would expect. And they basically passed it 6-0. There was some objections from the people living in the Rollins House building. And there was some talk about the pollution from the cell chip plants. So apparently the nickel parts per million are quite high. And apparently they're going to have all the poor people in one tower. So they're in phase 1, they're going to have 3 towers of 200 each. And all of the affordable housing, basically poor people, will be in the one house. So there you go. And it's passed, it's through. And basically a few things to note from the thing. They said they could have cranes on site at the end of the year and start getting going on it from the start of next year. And then they said basically the whole scheme, all 6 phases of it or whatever, should be done and dusted in 15 years. So there you go. Now this is obviously the first of many planning meetings, because it was an outline for the whole scheme, but specifically granting phase 1 to go ahead. So obviously I assume they're going to have another planning meeting for phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5, phase 6 and whatever. So by that time, if they fucked up royally and screwed up with phase 1, that might affect planning going forward into the other phases. So hopefully that will keep them on their toes and keep them doing things right and not being scummy developer types. But we'll have to wait and see with that. And phase 1 obviously has the auditorium as well. If you click on this, you can see the stuff. So they'll be having events there. Probably not next season, the season after. So you see how that goes and what kind of events they're going to be having there. But there you go. And like I said, I watched it past 6-0. It was a 2-hour meeting. It is what it is. Like, made me laugh complete. The chairman didn't even know what the fuck was going on. He thought the people speaking only had 5 minutes to speak, and they actually had 10 minutes. It was in the notes, but he didn't fucking know what he was doing. So there you go. And one of the guys was basically shitting his pants. Well, he's getting excited about the waste system that sucks the waste through underground pipes, and he was like being all fucking hyped about that, and he's asking questions about that. I don't know if he's autistic or what the fuck's going on with that guy, but there you go. So there you go. Changes are coming, and 15 years time, 2037, it may look very different to what you see right now. Of course, that depends on if we have a housing crash or that. Because I imagine if first they build this phase 1 and housing collapses off through the floor because of a global depression caused by things, and then we might be left with those 3 exoskeleton towers and not much else. So there you go. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching and goodbye.